Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first of what should be many in the Final Fantasy dungeon series. So this is Satasha. It is the first dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV. This is not my first time running it. I have run it before as a multibox party, albeit with a slightly different composition. So in this game, you really only have one character that can fulfill many jobs, which if you're completely unfamiliar with Final Fantasy, it's probably easiest to remember that that's like the same as your class, ostensibly. And I'm playing an interesting combo here. It's a marauder and 3 Arcanists, which is a DPS job. So, unlike in WoW, how you might have a druid class, for instance, where you play all the different roles, you really are tied to one role in your job. And my job for Arcanist is DPS. So I'm actually running one tank, 3 DPS. The 3 DPS do have a healer. Um, and it works out pretty well. You will see some tank deaths from time to time, but for these early dungeons, there's really not too much AoE damage going out. On top of that, the healer. So at level 30, this job actually splits out into 2 jobs, and I will actually get a dedicated healer. You can see here that I'm kind of dotting up. So another piece of the Arcanist is actually that it's very similar to a Warlock. They've got 2 dots, and then they've got some burst damage. They have a spell that generates basically like soul shards, and then you spend those soul shards to do damage variable based on how many dots you have on the target. So it's in your best interest to actually have dots on the target, which is great. I really like how that plays out, kind of in the real sense. But it does play a little bit. It does play a little bit awkwardly in this game, given that assist isn't very snappy, and given that the cast times and GCDs are so long. So the way this class actually works is there's one dot that has a cast time, this miasma spell, and then there's another spell that's instant cast. And actually, I don't do it in this video, but in a later video, it's actually going to be more optimized. And I've been optimizing it kind of as I've gone. And it's gotten better and better, and I'm really excited to show you all how that plays out. But for this video, I actually didn't really multi-dot too much. I don't quite have that combo, that soul shard generator and soul shard spell type thing yet. It is called something else, so I apologize. But yeah, I guess I can start kind of talking about what's actually going on in this dungeon. So the real challenge of this comp is that they have no AoE at all, at least for now. There's a dot spreading spell that I'll get at level 30. But for the most part, like large packs are like the bane of me. But my tank does have quite a bit of AoE damage. So you can see I basically have to kill these clams. They open and close. And I'm AoEing down these seekers as I go along. And the video track skipped there for some reason. But like 2 packs, I'm basically not even bothering to dot because I know they're going to die so quickly that I don't really want to waste the effort to multi-dot. I do kind of change, like I said, I do change that strategy later on, but for this video, that's kind of what I'm doing. And this dungeon is very easy. It's kind of, sorry, I went on a 3.5 minute tangent. I really want to focus on the dungeon. This dungeon's a super easy intro. I'm not really, most of the DPS here is actually just coming from the tank for the AoE stuff. And then I'm just kind of blasting down with like Ruin, which is like a shadow bolt, if you can think of it that way. What's actually cool, I'm actually really cool to play the Arcanist healing job because it's actually, the healer actually has a pet, which is kind of cool. But yeah, you can see like I'm not AoEing at all on my Arcanist, and the little Shade Seeker guys are still dying pretty easily. Definitely a little repetitive with the clams. Like I said, I just blow up the clams here, and then once those are dead, kind of finish those up and move on. So yeah, what's interesting is I already have a lot of this loot too, and I've been like debating whether I even want to bother picking up loot. Like I really don't care about the loot at all. Um, And I thought that the inventory management in this game is like super weird, and I still haven't quite gotten my head around it. But I basically have like every piece of gear I've ever gotten on all my characters still. That's going to change, and I'm sure at some point, like when I go to level up the next job set, it's probably going to be different. I'm probably going to have to actually do it. Okay, so I put the video back at 100% this time. So there's these different corals that you can press to switch. There's actually a paper at the beginning of the dungeon that you're supposed to click on that tells you which color it is. I forgot to read that, so I just clicked green. And then I went to the switch, and apparently I was wrong. So this chopper spawned, and now I've got to kill him. This is the consequence for not reading that paper and knowing which one it's going to be. Which really isn't a huge consequence. So you can see I've put my dots on there. It's really nice that you can tell from the tank what dots are on there and what aren't. Like I said, with the GCDs and stuff, what I found to be the most successful for me is to actually just stop casting for a split second or two, and really like make sure all of my casters are on the same page, and then start casting dots. And what that does is it actually makes sure that all of the dots get on there, which is the most important part, especially later as the setup starts to become more reliant on those extra dots being on the boss for the damage. So now you get the loot. So after every boss there's this coffer. And it's interesting how loot in this game works, because it seems to me like you kind of just get random greens out of dungeons. And there's not dungeon specific loot. But now we go into these caves. Gonna speed up the video again. It's pretty straightforward, like I said. I'm dotting the first target, the big guy, and then I'm pretty much just throwing down ruin bolts. I'm really excited for the level 30 power spike. As of recording this, I haven't quite hit level 30, but that I believe the spell is called Bane. I'm really excited for that. So here we go. So Captain Madison, I guess you could think of this guy as a boss. One weird thing is you don't actually ever kill this guy. So you see here, we're going to kill these two Shadowtail Reavers, his little friends. I don't even think I'm dotting them because I don't remember the fight being that difficult, which ends up being a mistake. You see my health dip really low. Not something I would do if I had a healer for sure. So I start kiting a little bit. Get myself back up. And now I'm just blasting the Reavers again. And then I'll switch to Madison. Now I was kind of expecting Madison to run away quicker, but I'm going to go ahead and drop dots on him now and just start pumping. And you can see this team does like a crazy amount of damage. I guess you guys don't really have anything to use as a frame of reference, but when I was playing Bards, like Bard was very consistent damage, but it wasn't very high damage. At least it didn't feel very high. So now this coward runs away. We're going to chase him. Speeding up the video again. And now we just clear on to the next part. And these are 3-packs, which is kind of the point at which you're like, okay, do I cast dots? Do I not cast dots? You actually have to heal a little bit. Hope you don't let your tank die. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing tricky. There's nothing tricky. Oh, there's really no bosses in this dungeon, right? There's like the last boss. And the trash in this game, I would say, is generally not tricky to begin with. I really haven't come across any trash packs where I'm like, man, that was really difficult. Like, I really needed to know what I'm doing. I'm sure that will change at some point. But I also know that the in-game content of this game isn't really like dungeons. They're just trials, so even there you don't really see it. Alright, so I have to get this key, open the door, kill this guy. This guy kind of acts as a boss. He's a big wimp. I just destroy this guy. He does like one conal spell. Which, by the way, I did kill this guy really quickly because he got one conal spell off. Now I go over to this Wave Rider gate. There is a trash in front of this. I did cut it a little bit out of it. I tried to make this video as quick as I could, given that it's the first dungeon. So you can see here Captain Madison again. And yeah, there's really nothing special going on here. It's pretty much the same thing. You've got the 2 Shadowtail Reavers. You kill those. I think I just dotted them up and let them sit there. And then I dotted up Captain Madison here. And I switched to the Shadowtail Reaver. You can see I wasted cast bolts on him. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just switched with my tank. Captain Madison gets... Oh, we actually do kill Captain Madison here. That's right. So we actually... Nope, we still don't kill Captain Madison. The difference is this time he brings dogs out, so it gets harder, I guess. But I don't even... You can see my dotting is super inefficient there, where I got like 2 spells on one mob and like 3 on the other. Like I said, I really kind of spent some effort and time to kind of clean that up. And I love it, man. I've played Warlock and WoW for like the last decade, and I'm absolutely in love with the class and the playstyle. And so if I can get this to work, the Arcanist Warlock kind of DPS, range DPS class to work, I'm going to be like so happy. I'm going to be on cloud 9. That's like the absolute best case scenario for me. So yeah, more of these Shadowtail Reavers as we go up to the last boss. One thing I didn't include towards the beginning of the video is this was the first video, and I'm not posting it to show like, oh yeah, look at me beat up on this dungeon. It was really like I wanted to at least give frame of references before I go posting really difficult content. Because the second I go posting really difficult content, I don't want to scare people away from playing and trying the game. And I think this dungeon is a very good example of kind of how easy this game can be. And for the last boss here, I guess the last and only boss, I'll go ahead and put the video back to 100% and we can go through it. This is a super straightforward fight. My damage absolutely trivializes this fight, so you can see these unnatural ripples in the corner if you kind of pay attention. The boss is going to emote at them. You'll see them move a little bit. They're supposed to spawn ads that make the fight a little bit more difficult. Given that I don't have cleave damage, any fight where there's cleave damage right now is an absolute nightmare for me. But I've got a ton of burst. I mean, these characters do so much damage, and I'm running 3 DPS. The tank seems to do quite a bit of damage as well. Like, there's absolutely nothing stopping me from just absolutely destroying all of these dungeons, or all of these bosses. Like, boss fights with this setup are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm already at 35%. I think I was probably at 60% on my bards. Like, I actually think that my bards do half the damage. So yeah, you can see the ripples are moving a little bit. There they go. The ads just spawned. The boss is at 8% health, and the boss finally casts some sort of ability, and I'm gonna grab the ads, but yeah, it's GG. That's the dungeon. I leveled up. I got the dungeon done. Yeah, so like I said, this is the first of what will be very many. I'm going to put them all in one YouTube playlist. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.